Well, hello there. Out for a midweek after work hike. Took advantage of once again being in the office to hit one of the trails near that location. Tonight I'm doing the East Palisades Trail out to the bamboo forest here, part of the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area. Looking to get maybe around 4 miles in, which will help me close that gap to 250 that I'm trying to get before the end of the month. So midweek evening, not anticipating a lot of traffic, but there was a decent number of cars in the parking lot, so I could be surprised. Anyway, we'll see what the trail holds for us today and what conditions it will have, since yesterday some rather major rainfall came through the area. So, and this does run alongside the Chattahoochee, so it could be running and close to the trail. Conditions could be sloppy, so my footing will dictate how much camera footage I'm able to get, as I'm going through a mucky area right now. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm gonna focus on my steps so I do not twist an ankle or break a neck, and we will check with you further on down the trail. Section of the river that's rather wide here. Obviously it's flowing well with the recent rains, and we've got a couple of fine fellows out there sunning themselves, catching the breeze, and generally owning the river at this point. So I will leave them to their pleasures as I continue on down the trail. I just thought I'd stop a moment and pay my respects. Anyway, continuing on back to the trail. So it's quiet night out here. The birds and insects and squirrels are all busy about, but traffic is definitely lighter than this trail probably normally gets, being as popular as it is. So I'm going to enjoy the solitude, because it's doubtful that many opportunities for me to walk this trail when it's this quiet will present themselves. Fortunately, the trail does seem to be in relatively good condition despite the weather recently. Obviously there's some good flow off opportunities here, and you know, there are definitely some patches that are mucky, but the trail as a whole is nice and solid with good footing, so appreciative of that. And there's another one of our fine fellows, Cormender I believe, but I could be wrong. And across the way you see a nice chunk of rock bordering the river. Anyway, I'm going to continue on, and we will check in again further down the way. Well, I've reached about the halfway point of my trek today, and it's kind of the high point of the land around here. So I've obviously moved away from the river a bit, and you know, the trees don't give you the greatest view of the surrounding area, but if you look off that direction, you can make out, you know, in the distance the river, and then the embankment upon the far side does give you a bit of a view through the trees. But I'm continuing on the second half of this hike as I make my descent down to the stretch that will lead me out to the bamboo forest. A platform here on the trail with a rather remarkable overlook of the river down below. So there may not have been a view from above, but here, just a little ways down, you do get quite an impressive view. Rather sizable fellow down here as we make our meandering way down. Fortunately, it looks like a way has been cut through him so that we may continue on unimpeded. Though it is a bit mucky today. Continuing to make our way down from the high point back towards the riverbank. Yeah, mucky ground ahead. I'm gonna focus on my footing. Well, I'm finally down once again to the riverbank and onto the spur trail that leads out to the bamboo forest. So let's see what lies before me here. But, the river is definitely flowing well, as I've mentioned. Makes for a nice sound to accompany a quiet walk. You get some great views as you walk alongside it. The sunlight twinkling off as the sun lowers. Anyway, I'm gonna be careful of my footing. Lots of roots and rocks along a narrow passage here, as you can see behind me. It's well, one person wide at best. So we're going to continue on here. We'll probably check in once we get down to the bamboo itself. Well, I made it out to the bamboo forest, out to the edge of the trail, and I'm making my way back through it now. So the forest has definitely seen a bit of impact from either the winter or recent storms, or more distant storms, but there's a lot of bamboo down, and actually a number of large trees that have come down across the bamboo and taken it down. As you can see, this is just one example here. There's some more significant ones further up here, but still, for middle of Georgia, it's not a sight you expect to come across, and the bamboo is most impressive. just out here on the banks of the Chattahoochee. So lots of the runners that go between the bamboo shoots crossing the trail, so they're as bad as roots, and definitely have to keep your eye focused on your footing as you stroll about in this area. But you know, it's always an impressive sight. This is my second time out here at the bamboo forest, and there's a certain peacefulness to it when it's not crowded. And when the wind blows, you can hear the bamboo stalks clacking against each other at their tops. Nature's wind chime, I guess. But, yeah, just enjoying the peace. But as I said, that piece has seen some destruction of recent note, and the bamboo has suffered the impact as a result. But one thing about bamboo, it is quick growing and resilient, so I'm sure it will persevere in spite of the destruction and be back to its full nature soon enough, especially as we get the spring growth coming in. But I'm gonna continue on here and make my way on out of the bamboo forest and resume my trek back to my starting point. Again, it's been nice having you come along with me to experience this, even vicariously. And I hope you have enjoyed your visit to the bamboo forest. We will check in further down the trail. Point where the bamboo forest spur meets the main loop of the East Palisades. Thought I'd take a minute to show you all this section of ruins of an old, I'm not sure what was here, building of some sort obviously, but I don't know if it was a residence, if it was some sort of mill house, but just the remnants of it remain to bear witness to what was here before. And now we proceed on to finish our trek. Well, I'm on the final stretch back to the car. It looks like I'm going to get about 4.5 miles in. It's, I won't say it's been an exciting hike, but it's been a nice, pleasant, peaceful hike here on a Tuesday evening. It's been quiet. I've seen some interesting sights. I've had time with my thoughts, which is always time well spent. But got a bit of a walk along the gravel approach road to the parking area, given where the trail came out to loop back to where I started trailhead. So I'm going to finish this out. Thanks again for coming along with me, and we will see you on the next hike. Well, hello there. It is March 31st. I have 8.45 miles to go to hit 250 and match 1/4 of the year and 1/4 of my distance. So it's been a very busy week. Work and after work have both conspired to be hectic and stressful for me. So I've only gotten the one midweek hike under my belt. I had hoped to get at least one other so that I wouldn't have to stretch this remaining distance in one hike, but could break it up. That did not happen. So I am out here once again at my old standby Leita Thompson. We will probably do about 4 laps today if we can squeeze it in, and see if we can hit that distance mark and achieve that 25% mark. Let's see if we can get it done. I'm gonna get going with this and we'll check in along the way. I've managed to complete my first lap. Got 2.5 miles done in right around 45 minutes. And with the variances in the trail here that I can choose, it should allow me to get right at that 8.5 mile mark pretty darn close with 4 laps. So now we just got to see how we do. It has started to sprinkle lightly on me here, so adding that additional element to the hike this evening, but nothing major. We're not supposed to get anything significant in rain until tomorrow morning. So speaking of tomorrow Saturday, it's going to be a very busy day for me. Unfortunately, no chance for a hike. And Sunday is Palm Sunday. I'm going to be busy at church for almost the entire morning. So we'll have to see what I can get out on the trail, perhaps Sunday afternoon, weather and time permitting. But you know, the week ahead does not look to be quite as busy as this week was. So hoping that that gives me some opportunities to get some week hikes in then. Well, I thought I had a shot at it. I'm nearing the end of my second loop, feeling strong and confident that I could get the next 2 loops in to get me the 250, but it seems like this week the world is conspiring against me to keep me from hitting that goal. Between a number of things that have occurred this week, and then tonight something is happening at home that my wife needs me to cut my hike short and come home to help deal with it. So I am going to do that. Fortunately, this trail, you know, being the shorter trail with multiple loops that I was trying to do, gives me that flexibility. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. A little disappointed. Looks like I'm going to probably end up about 3.7 miles shy of my goal. So a little bit short this month. Just have to see what we can do to bust it out next month to surpass expectations. Anyway, you know, I'm sharing the good, bad, and the ugly with you out here. So thanks for coming along with me, hearing me out, and we will see you on the next trail. Well, hello there. It's been a busy weekend, but I've found some time to get out here on the trail. I am out at Kennesaw Mountain. I'm going to see what kind of distance I'm going to do today. Don't have a specific agenda in mind, but it's a crowded day out here on a lovely Sunday afternoon. Lots of people about, so my videos could be very intermittent. Try and keep people out of them as much as I can. But anyway, we'll check in along the way. Thanks again for coming along. Well, I'm making my way down from the peak of Kennesaw Mountain. As is normal, especially on a beautiful day like today, the peak was rather crowded. Lots of people up there talking, relaxing, just in general having a good time. So I didn't do much filming, especially nothing with me talking. I did get a couple views out from the peak, as you saw, but nothing really beyond that. We probably get some good views over on Little Kennesaw Mountain, which I will be climbing next. I suspect that now that I'm past the main ascent path up from the visitor center to the peak, probably the traffic is going to be significantly less, and more opportunities for me to film my thoughts and sights. So we'll see what that entails. But yeah, that first ascent up is a very popular climb, very popular trail for families, individuals, pets. It's it's a well curated trail, even though it is a bit of a rigorous climb, but nice broad trail, probably double if not more the width of this that I'm going through now. Lots of stair formations, whether through rock similar to what I've got right in front of me here, or through logs or ties that have been placed to help with erosion as well as with the climb. So anyway, I'm going to continue on here. We'll see what kind of views we get at the gap between the two peaks, and then onward to the ascent of Little Kennesaw Mountain. Well, Little Kennesaw Mountain is not as clearly marked on the peak as Kennesaw Mountain, but I'm up here in an area where I'm standing on the highest point of ground around. I can't see anything higher than me. There's a number of cannons and signs here, so I'm going to assume I made it to the peak. And you can see a bit of the view there behind me, but it's definitely a quieter spot. Not nearly the crowds and noise that we had on the main peak, but I'm gonna get a sip of water and then continue on with my descent from the mountain here, and we will check in as we go along that. It's a bit of a boulder scramble at times, but we will see what we can do. Anyway, check later on. View here from the overlook area of the trail, just a little bit past where the peak was, and if I can make sure I stay clear of falling off the edge here and can get to where you can see over the trees. It is a very picturesque landscape down below the mountain there. And on a clear day like we have today, you can just see for miles. Anyway, just like to take it in now and then when you get a view like this, but I've got to keep moving on. Continuing on down the descent, it's been, like I said, it's a bit of a rock scramble coming down this side of the mountain, as opposed to the well curated and maintained trails that they have on the far side. These are left in a little bit rougher, more natural condition, as you can see. So got to be careful with the footing as I go. so as not to slip or twist anything or just flat out fall on my face. In fact, my wife was asking me the other day if I ever do a face plant while videoing, if I would include that in what I end up posting. And well, you'll hear it here. If that happens, you guys will be the first to know. So hoping that that is a long way off if I ever do happen to have that occur, and that the results are minimal. But you know, hopefully a cautious and considered approach can keep that from happening if I'm lucky. Anyway, continuing with my rock scramble as I proceed on the trail here. We will check in again as we go. Well, I did it. I just crossed over 3.7 miles for this hike, which officially gives me 250 miles on my journey. 25% achieved. It's maybe a little later than I had hoped to get it to, but it's still an accomplishment that I'm willing to celebrate anyway. I know, you know, some people may, and I'm not saying definitively that they did, but some may have, you know, when I told them about this challenge I was setting for myself, may have thought, oh, you know, another New Year's resolution, you know, give him a few weeks or so and it'll fall by the wayside. You know, he won't keep it up for the whole year. And you know, there was concerns about that of my own, but I'm 3 months in. I'm 25% of the way towards the goal, and I'm feeling even stronger about it than I did at the start. I'm gonna get this done. And you know, like I said, there may not have been any naysayers, but to those who possibly were out there, watch me go. I'm not gonna stop, and I'm not gonna let doubts get in my way. I'm nearing the end of the little loop extension that I added on to the designated trail that I had picked from all trails to do in order to give myself a little bit extra distance. This section of the park is a little bit tamer than that on or immediately around the mountain itself. This is more in the open section between the mountain and the Kolb Farm area, but it makes for a nice little extension to the hike. Even some sounds of wildlife out here. I've got a woodpecker in the background, as well as other birds. But I'm coming up to a road crossing that I will have to do to get back over to the mountain side of the park, where I will then proceed to continue my hike on around to the side of the mountain rather than going back over it. A ton of waterways here in the Kennesaw mountain area, but this little spillway is running alongside the trail I'm on now, and it's a nice little break in the scenery, so I figured I'd stop and take a moment to observe it. Before it runs under the trail. Anyway, I'm continuing on. As you can see, it extends on that way. But anyway, I am continuing on this section of the trail, which the last time I did it was during my 18-mile hike around Kennesaw mountain area back at the beginning of this journey. Anyway, mucky areas like this were quite the norm for this section of the trail at the time, and it looks like they've come in and done a bit of trail maintenance to put some blockers to some of the water runoff to keep it from settling in low spots and generally keep the trail a bit drier overall. So I'm appreciative of that. Still a few areas to navigate around or through, but overall the trail is in much better shape than it was back in early January. So always good to see our park fees going to good purpose for the trail maintenance so that we can continue to enjoy it without further damaging the terrain. So thankful for that. Anyway, continuing on, still making my way around the back side of the mountain. Well, I'm getting close to the visitor center. Probably have somewhere between half a mile and 3/4 of a mile left. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's been a good end to a busy weekend. I've had a very enjoyable hike out here. The weather and trail conditions have been excellent. Once I got past the crowded first part, it's been very lightly traveled, so I've been able to get some good time in for my thoughts, and they've been some good thoughts. I'm very proud of my accomplishment that I talked about, and in general it's a good day. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. Thanks as always for coming along with me. Truly, all your support and well wishes really mean a lot to me, and I'm just grateful for being able to come out here and do this. So until I see you on the next trail,